Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi there, ho there. You have found the Marry Your Best Friend podcast, hosted by John and Suzanne. Well, I'm John. I'm seated next to my English teacher and beautiful wife, who is about to correct me if I didn't get that correct there.
You are correct.
I am a little correct at times, but you like to correct people with a red pen.
I do. It's like tennis for me. Like,
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like it's like a sport. Like it's super fun.
Well, you joined us on the Marry Your Best Friend podcast. I'm John. This is my wife, Suzanne. And, well, one of us likes to cut off balls.
Oh, my. Just cut to the chase.
Well, that's everyone. Okay, where have you been the past 3 years? Like, every one of our episodes has some sort of, theme. Like, one of us likes to drive. One of us knows how to.
I just wait for you to tell me what the theme is.
One of us, I don't know, has a good mother-in-law. That was an episode.
One of us.
But one of us does like to cut off balls.
One of us just shows up.
Yeah.
So.
One of us does plan and one of us shows up. And you guys that'll be an episode time some other time. But the theme is one of us likes to cut off balls. But before we get to that.
Bust your balls.
We're going to talk about this because hold on, let's
really have honed in on this the last couple of days.
Let's push the sweaty balls conversation to later, which is one of the best Alec Baldwin scenes on.
Yeah,
we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live.
I know, and I loved it.
That was on NBC. We went on a cruise and
we watched it on your phone.
We had to watch it on our phone because we're on the okay. So let me back up. 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. They brought back like all the stars. You love Saturday Night Live.
Of the stars.
You have loved Saturday Night Live for a very long time.
Yes, you always tell me that you don't. I know the story. I don't need to hear it every single time.
Anyway, so you were a little upset because we went on a cruise with a bunch of our friends, and if you think that Jon Stewart is a great person for cruising.
You would be incorrect.
You'd be incorrect. But if you like,
we did have fun.
Yeah, if you like living in a casino for 24 hours a day with just loud music playing and people running around.
But we always have fun.
Yeah, but most of the people that you meet on a cruise, like I would have to be in a bowling league to meet some of these people or shop at Walmart on a daily basis. But one of our friends asked us to go on a cruise. And, well, first off, last year you went on a cruise. All the girlfriends are like
right
20
when I was wounded.
Yeah, you were wounded.
Yeah.
And you and Julianne went on a cruise. You had a fantastic time.
We had fun.
Yeah, and somewhere on that cruise, one of the women probably drank too much and said, wouldn't it be great?
No, none of those women.
Whatever.
Drink too much.
Somebody came up with the idea. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we brought our husbands on the cruise?
And I just want to go on the record to say that I stood up for you and said, I'll just tell y'all right now, all you ladies, all y'all, Jon Stewart will say no. This is not his deal. He will not do it. And what did you do? You absolutely caved.
I did, but that's because of the host who had planned the cruise.
I know, because we love
Lisa.
her.
Lisa is your best friend from like Nashville days.
Like
She's
35 years,
John Andrew's godmother. She's been through us through thick and thin, and
we've all kind of been down in the trenches together. But if I ever really need anything, I just have to have Lisa call and ask you, because then you will immediately do it.
Well, yeah,
it's like she has a direct line to God.
Well,
she has a direct line to John.
We all have those friends. If you're blessed to have a friend who's been with you through thick and thin, there's nothing that I can say no to her for. Like if she asked me to go dig a ditch, I'd say okay.
We've all known each other since we were in our early 20s and didn't know anything.
She's loved us through really hard times and some really good times. She's loved us when we were thin. She's loved us when I had brown hair, and no, but like we've known each other for a very long time. So I have a hard time saying no to her. Plus, she's the sweetest person in the world.
And plus, you love her husband, and you were like, oh, with Ken and Lisa,
but here's
absolutely.
the thing. I didn't think, when you guys said husbands are going, I didn't think it was an option. So like, then when I see the guest list like a week before, well, let me back up one more time. The bad thing about getting on a cruise with 20 women is they start the text string a year ahead of time.
They start, not me, because I don't have time for that.
Literally.
They all make fun of us because we don't do it.
I've been in the Cruising Friends text group for 12 months leading up to this cruise. And about a week before, I understand why some men weren't on the text string, like most of the husbands weren't.
Yeah.
But then when I looked at the guest list, I was like, why is Tanya's daughter on this list? And you said, well, Michael's not going. And I said, wait, what do you mean Michael's not going? So I called
You
Tanya.
didn't know it was like an
No,
option
our
to
friend
bow
Tanya
out.
Sykes, her husband Michael's a great guy, but I'm like,
And we've known them for 30-something
I
years.
called Tanya and said, this is an option? Like, men could have not gone? And so...
She was like, Michael's not doing this.
No, but I was thinking...
He totally does not give
Lisa's
in.
husband, Ken Abraham, is an accomplished author. He's a
So lovely.
wonderful guy, awesome guy. But Ken sits in a lawn chair and reads books.
He just does what Lisa says.
But he reads books until Lisa tells him to get up and go do something.
And he does it with a smile on his face because he is lovely.
I know, but for those of us who are blessed with the condition known as ADHD,
Yeah.
it's hard to just sit there and watch Ken read. So I was thinking, Michael Sykes, he might have ADHD, and maybe we could actually have a conversation.
Okay.
So I was looking forward to that. But and I was really looking forward to it. I felt like I was dumped before we even got started. and then here's the thing about Ken and Lisa. So they're the type of people that they like going to amusement parks together. Like where people are already gross and sweaty and touching the things, and like there's loud noise and there's thrill rides.
It's really just Lisa. Ken just
and
goes.
they told me they
she's
went
fun.
to Las Vegas to stay in casinos, and they don't gamble
Or drink,
Like they're
or
just okay. They're just there for the smorgasbord and for the shows.
They love the shows.
So that's what a cruise ship is. And
Yeah.
like we've been on a cruise before, but it was a private cruise. You went on this one last year with all the girls.
Yeah.
And they're acting like, and it's the icon of the sea. No, what's the name of it? It was the Harmony of the Seas.
Yeah.
So they're excited that it's the biggest ship out there. It's
I
like
don't know if it's the biggest one.
the whole point is they're excited there's over 7,000 people on that boat. And I'm like, I'd kind of like to be in a kayak by
You
myself.
were kind of freaking out the night before. Like, I've never seen you actually freak out like that for a trip.
I don't know if I was
especially.
freaking out because of safety or anything
No,
like
no,
that.
no.
but I
You were
was
freaking out. I'll tell you exactly why you were freaking out. You were freaking out because you were not in control.
That is true.
That is 100%
And the other
truth.
reason why I was freaking out was because you guys sent a list of everything I was supposed to wear each night. There's the country western night, and there's the white night. Everybody wears white. The formal night.
Again, you were not in control.
And there's a 70s formal night. And then here's the night. They had a Caribbean night. So I texted in the Cruising Friends text, what's Caribbean night wardrobe? Wear a Hawaiian shirt. Well, for me, Hawaiian is different than Caribbean. And I'm sitting there going, what do I do?
You just
Caribbean
think about
shirt or
this
Hawaiian
way
shirt?
too much.
The whole thing is, I can go for 3 weeks to Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand, and be
Because you
back
want to
home.
blend in.
I can go for 3 weeks in my roller bag, my small little roller bag. Like this past week, I was in Dallas for one deal. I was at the race. I can pack everything in a roller bag. But for the cruise, I had to borrow somebody else's suitcase.
Big ass suitcase.
And I used to make fun of my parents, like, why do you guys travel with a casket? Like they would go on a cruise ship with these massive bags and all 4 wheels, and they would kind of, go through and I always kind of made fun of my old elder.
There was only one outfit I didn't wear.
Okay. We have now become those old people with these big ass bags pushing through. They were massive. And who knew that Delta Airlines has a weight policy? Like, I've never been up to like 70 pounds.
Yes, when we went to Hawaii, you did. We packed in that big suitcase and you bought all that stuff and then you had to repack.
Anyway, so we take 2 huge bags. We go on this cruise, and I'm telling you, I've got clothes for white night, and I've got clothes for 2 formal nights. And what's funny is I think Lisa looks at her closet and decides what the theme is.
No, it's decided by the cruise.
Oh. Anyway, so this
But we had a fun time.
We had a
gotta
blast.
Admit, we had a
blast.
great
I made
time.
new friends. Like
It was super fun.
on Sundays. If you ever listen to our podcast, that was One of Us Needs More Jesus Than the Other. One of the churches that I follow online.
Yeah.
My friend Lyndall and Amber, they pastor a church. Well, he's the pastor. She's sings and is
His wife.
His wife. But they have a church called Grace Church in Nashville. I watch them every Sunday. I love the worship. And last year I was excited because you were on the cruise with Carrie Ring, and she sings in the front row of the choir.
Oh.
Like little Carrie, she sings. And I got to hang out with her husband, Tommy.
And y'all were a hoot.
And let me tell you, Tommy showed up on the first day of the cruise.
We all knew y'all were going to be
No,
like,
but we show up on
cracking
the
each other
cruise,
up.
and Tommy Ring does two things. One, he sings. He's a great musician,
Mm-hmm.
and he can play. I mean, he played.
He's
with
a
like,
great musician.
Yeah, but like he's old school playing, like
Real talent,
Yeah,
not-
Merle Haggard, Willie,
Yeah.
like cool stuff. But like Palomino Ballroom back in the '70s in Vegas, all that kind of stuff. He's got the cool long blonde hair. And the coolest thing about him is he builds rat rods. So he's like he like knows cars and knows rat rods, and so I learned about rat rod culture. But the thing I wasn't prepared for is that Tommy likes the sun more than any other human being I've ever been around.
Tommy is a sun worshiper.
No, he's like a human iguana. Like the moment that he got on the boat,
he loves it, man.
he took his shirt off. It's like as soon as the sun came out, he was out there. It may be 60 degrees or 55 degrees.
Carrie says
he was
like,
getting a sun.
if the sun is out and like he is pulling that lawn chair out into the driveway, he's laying out in the sun no matter where he is. He
Well.
just loves it.
They had one of those contests on board. So the great thing about a cruise ship, I say great thing like it's I'm being serious. They have all these different contests. So they got a hula hoop contest, game show, blah
well,
blah
it's
blah.
families and stuff. There's
I
always
get
something
it.
to do.
They had the world's sexiest man contest, and I wanted to enter Tommy because he was tan and he had the long hair. And I told him, I said, if you do one move, I said, if you can act like you're vacuuming the cleaner and emptying
That's
the dishwasher,
right.
every woman on that boat would.
That's
be
right.
cheering
We'd
for
all
you.
vote for you.
But Lisa and Ken were so excited because they got tickets for everybody every night to go somewhere. So one night was the ice skating, and then one night was the diving and the synchronized swimming
The shows
show.
were pretty good though.
Well, each night they'd be like, are we going to see you at the show? I was like, yeah, we'll be on our way in a little bit. We never went to a show, did we? We went to that comedy show and we left after 5 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. No, but I had seen a couple on there. But we did stuff. We met up with them and did everything.
get
It
it.
wasn't like we were antisocial
But we had
after
dinner.
6
We
o'clock.
had dinner every night. That was my highlight. Sitting
Yeah,
there
it
and having
was. It
dinner
was
with everybody.
awesome.
Another guy that I've known for a long time. We have never been friends, but now that we went on this cruise, I don't know if you know this, but men build relationships different than women.
I'm aware.
Okay, so Russ Harrington, photographer. I've known him for 35 years because he used to do all the word covers
Yeah.
back in the day, and he was always too cool for me. He hung out with like the Amy Lindy's.
He does have
and
super cool glasses, and he's fun.
cool
yeah.
and hip.
Yeah, he is.
And yeah, he wears like capri pants.
He does not.
Yeah, he does.
No,
He's
he
got the
does
hot
not.
wife. No, but he's wearing like capri pants and like he was Russ Harrington's linen collection because like he did show up at the pool and I'm like in shorts and my hairy body and here's Russ laying over there lounging.
No, it wasn't a hairy body because
we waxed my back, but
we
no,
didn't wax. You
Manscaped.
made me help you.
So anyway,
Manscaped.
I'm Manscaped. It's all clean here, but anyway, so I look over on the beach chair and there's Russ in like full white linen, like it's Palm Springs vacation collection.
Yeah.
And he's cool. So he used to hang out with like Diana and Amy, all the artsy people. Never the marketing guy like me.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, moving on.
So we had a great cruise.
All that to say-
I made some guy friends. I can't wait to go on another cruise because we're gonna hang out and we're gonna scrapbook together. Actually, it was perfect because they all went on excursions. You like to stay on the boat and not do anything because you enjoyed the boat.
The thing is, I mean, unless you're going to have time to actually immerse yourself into something when you go to visit, it's just not worth it to me to get off the boat.
It's a racket.
With all the people follow, especially if it's something I've seen before, like Cozumel. Thank you.
Well, and one of the things Lisa wanted,
And everybody leaves the boat, and then it's like so quiet.
You enjoyed the boat.
Oh my gosh, they changed the music. It's not that vadoom, vadoom, vadoom. It's just very quiet and
You've never learned how to beatbox, but keep
whatever. I mean, it's just that
Yeah, the constant boom, boom, boom.
noise. It was very, relaxing, and
Like
there were
spa
no
music.
line. Well, it wasn't spa music, but it was like jazz, or it just wasn't crowded, and it was lovely.
Well, so I did 2 dives. So if you do it on a cruise ship, the shtick is the cruise may only be like $4,000, but then they ding you with all the excursions. And so I did one excursion with them, and then I did my own dive trip. So I got to dive twice. We got off the boat and did another deal together.
That
which
was
fun.
pretty fun, though.
Yeah,
even though we had a fight.
We did I don't remember that. We did a salsa where you went and learned to make salsa, and then we learned how to salsa dance.
100% had a fight on the dance floor.
We did not.
Oh my
just
word!
because you didn't know how to follow somebody's lead. By the way,
You were full on mad and walked away and then came back and like all the people are salsa and dancing.
I really wish you guys were watching the video because even here, Suzanne doesn't know the moves. Like I know all 4 moves. I know how to do all 4 moves.
Yeah, you were sure to
like
let
that.
everybody know too.
Well, it was my fantasy. I wanted them to all surround us and kind of clap their hands as we were doing the salsa.
Yeah, nice try.
So we had a great time on the cruise.
It really was
I
fun.
got to dive twice, got to be with people. It was well worth the money. We loved our friends that we went with and old-time friends. Tracy
And I tell you
Wilson,
what, here's
Janice,
the
they
thing.
just make me laugh.
Here's the thing. No matter what the trip is or the destination, the fact that we are able to still spend time with friends that we have known for 35 years or friends that we, have only known for 10 years, whatever that.
Well, you've known some of these people since you were a kid.
Yeah,
because
well,
their
yeah.
parents and your parents.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like that's the important part. Whether you really love what you did is not important. I think back the one time that we went to Colorado with my grandparents. My grandparents loved Colorado. And so they went all the time, every year, twice a year. And so one year I remember we packed up the Cadillac. God knows we didn't have a camper or a pickup. We packed up the big blue Cadillac and we went with Nanny and Paw Daddy to Colorado.
I do love the fact that we packed up the Cadillac. Like everybody's going to be, oh, that poor thing. They had to get in a Cadillac. For most of us, a Cadillac was
yeah, but it
nice
wasn't like we're driving for days, and it wasn't like Dad rented a camper or.
Oh, you're all shoved in the Fleetwood.
All
Bro.
shoved in there with all the things, and then Nanny and Paw Daddy, and they didn't stop you didn't stop and eat. Like you had snacks in the car, like you ate in the car back then,
Okay, keep going.
Anyway, so we're all in there, we're doing the thing, we go, and camping is not my jam.
You've never spent one night in a tent.
No, but we got cabins that didn't have TV that we had to cook in. We went fishing. Again, not my thing. I'm not going to touch worms and fish and stuff. I'm not going to do it. But I remember that trip so fondly because it was with my grandparents and my dad. I can see him right now, his big white body with the big floppy hat on out there fishing, way out of his element, but yet
There he was with Christopher.
yeah, just having a great time because we were with my Nanny and Paw Daddy. And also on that trip was the first time that I had ever held a goat.
Oh, there you go. That's where we're about to go to.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Did your dad manscape very well? Did Big John Hall have your mom waxing his back or shaving?
My gosh, it was a forest.
No. When I first met your dad, we talked about this. Here came this. It was like the abominable snowman. It's like this big white guy with white hair.
Poor Dad. He did not tan.
Okay, so went on a cruise, and we got back from the cruise, and immediately went to work.
I'm telling you,
we
this
had our
last
first-
week has just been.
We had our first race of the season,
hell week.
the IndyCar season. You're excited about this new race. So
I'm-
we opened the season at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Someday I'm going to get to go.
This year we've had a little bit of change. You were going to go this year. I was all excited about you flying down, and then our kids decided to go on a vacation to Chicago and
I had to keep one of the
needed a
granddogs.
dog sitter.
Well, and your mom had been alone for a couple of weeks. I kind of felt bad. I needed to
So
stay home.
it's great. You went with church with my mom, like this. But
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
St. Petersburg was great. Hung out with my buddy Cliff. Tim did great organizing everything. We have a little bit of a shift this year because in the past 3 years we've been
A little bit of a what?
a shift. SHIFT.
Okay.
You know what's funny about that?
Making that.
Eastern
making that.
Star. Those of you following along at home, that's church number 2 of mine. Eastern Star has a new pastor. I love Pastor Jay, but the entire theme this year is a new shift. And sometimes when they keep going, we got a new shift going on. We got a new shift going on. And it's and sometimes you hear just what you did. So shift, SHIFT.
Shift.
For the past 3 years, we've partnered and I've been working with Ed Carpenter Racing. I love Ed.
I love
He's
him
amazing.
too.
Today's his birthday, actually.
Oh, happy birthday, Ed Carpenter.
He's like 60.
He is not.
I know he's like 42. He's young.
Good grief.
He doesn't listen to this. Trust me.
He's mighty busy right now.
He is. But Ed, I love Ed to pieces. I love his dad and their other owners, Stuart Reed. Who
We had a very good experience with
oh my
Ed.
gosh. And I would love to be back with Ed. But Ed sold the team last year, a majority of the team. And the
Things
guy
change and move, and
What I was
we
gonna tell you,
kind of
though,
got to go with the punches.
I want you to keep cheering for Ed because the team looks fantastic. ECR has all new branding and graphics in the trailer.
And they've
trucks.
got Rossi.
Oh my gosh! And they have Christian Rasmussen, but all new uniforms, everything looked like something that I would have designed. Like there was nothing that they did that I would not have gone. Well, actually, one thing, their new logo is ECR. It's all lowercase, and I was like, Ed, I kind of think you're a higher case kind of a guy. I would have done uppercase, but
And they have Rossi.
I get it. He's cute. You like him.
He's not just cute. He's so good.
I get it. He finished behind us, by the way, but we'll get
Just
back to
one
that.
spot. But yes, I was happy about that.
Okay,
though.
the whole thing is, the team looks fantastic. I'm so happy for Ed. I'm so happy that he's got a sponsor that is activating well because we didn't really do that. But I went. They're sponsored by Ted Geloff, who owns Splenda, so they're giving away free coffee. So I had like 8 cups of free Java House coffee, and I'm just happy for him. The team looks great. The employees.
We're happy for him because he's a great guy and
Yeah.
he deserves to have.
But
The best
whenever one door
for
closes, another one opens, and I was so excited that we were able to do a deal with Dale Coyne and do
Who
it.
you've worked with before.
Yeah, so
Whom
Dale and Gail are a husband and wife who he was an IndyCar race car driver back in the 70s. It was funny because Gail was telling me stories about when they were first together, like in their first house. He was building his race car in the garage of their house. And she went into the living room one time, and there were 5 engines in the living room.
That would be so John Andrew.
It would be. And she was like, why are there engines in the living room? And he was like, well, they had to be delivered somewhere. But he built his own cars. They raced in the Indy 500. He built his own team. This is their baby. Like they have done this for so many years. But Dale and Gail, back in 2010, when I first started with the Boy Scouts, they were the ones that did the 100th anniversary Boy Scout car. And Brad Farmer, who I worked with at the Boy Scouts, World's Greatest Boss, Stacy Huff, who I worked with at the foundation, for the BSA Foundation, the two of them really used this platform to raise money. Gail and Dale supported the Boy Scouts for 9 years through that whole period of time that I was there. And we had...
And they had Justin Wilson.
Oh yeah, Justin Wilson. He won a race for them, the first race they won, but anyway, what's amazing about this is Dale Coyne's just a great guy. Now Dale Coyne does not have the budget. I just heard on the broadcast they had Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, riding.
Oh, I saw that.
Well, what he said during the broadcast, I watched the race today. He said, Pato was telling me about his car that they have 70 people working on his car. So Arrow McLaren has 3 cars. Okay, 70 people on each car.
On each car.
Each car. That's what Pato said.
Okay.
Now, I look over there, and they have like 30 engineers.
Right.
Dale has like 3. And, when we were at Ed Carpenter Racing, Ed Carpenter, they travel 45 full-time employees to every race.
Right.
45 employees. And Dale Coyne travels 20 full-time employees. And so, like at Ed Carpenter Racing, when we're used to dealing with one person, Bree for PR, Jason for like the sponsorship stuff, Mike for the stickers, Colleen for accounting and for like the travel, like if we needed tickets on the plane or hotel rooms.
And Ed and ECR is one of the smaller ones.
Yeah, it is.
So
But
if you
what
can
I'm saying is,
imagine,
just in that instance, we have 4 people doing those jobs. At Dale Coyne Racing, they've got one guy. His name's Ryan, and he just graduated from college. Ryan is the sweetest kid. He's an engineer, but he does all these things. He's booking the hotel rooms. He's booking the rental cars. He's doing the press releases.
you know what? That's work ethic right there.
It is work ethic. But what's amazing about it was, so Tim and I have a call with them a couple of days before the race because the PR guy, we're like, okay, coordinating, will you be taking photos in the pits so that we can upload them to our socials? And he goes, yeah, that was the plan, but Dale needs me to change tires on the 51. So here's the guy who's in charge of PR, fully in a suit, changing tires, and he's doing everything else. And then you wonder why this small team can punch above its weight. Because I was amazed this first race, looking at these teams that have fleets of engineers. What Dale has is quality guys who've done it for a long time. Like guys from Forsyth Racing days, and they've been with Dale for years. And he's got some people flying for the weekends, and they complement the team. The other thing I was really impressed by was one of the biggest stressors for husbands and wives during a race season is the separation.
Right.
There were 2 spouses who were working on the team with their husbands.
Really?
And I asked Dale about it. I said, Dale, is this common? He goes, well, they can't just come just for coming. But he goes, if they're going to work and they carry their weight, absolutely. So one lady's in charge of hospitality, and she's doing the lollipop. So telling
Right.
Renas where to stop. The other one is got her knee pads on the wall, lifting the tire over the wall and handing it to the guy in the rear tire.
I could do that.
You could. Your nails might get messed up. But these women, they were working their ass off, and they were part of the team. And I'm thinking, I sat there and said, it's a family environment. I love that. Now, Andretti, back in the old days, it was a family environment.
Right.
When it was, you had different
in the
families.
old days.
And Ed's team, he's had the same 10 core people plus 20, like a lot of them have been there for a long time. And where Penske is so great and where Ganassi is so great is when they keep the people over a long period of time. And so Dale, sure enough, we went out there, we qualified, I would say one of the smallest
P12?
smallest team out there. Yeah, we qualified in the top 12. And then Renus went out there and drove one heck of a great race. This street racing is different because it's not just about speed; it's about strategy.
And oval is his jam, and
yeah. But
he's going to be great.
He's good at road courses too. That's where he did his win on the IndyCar Series was on a road course.
But I can't wait to see him on an oval right now.
But what I'm saying is, as you go through this, Renus cycled through. He kept going. We were top 10. And then he finished 9th, and we were all ecstatic about it. First race,
fantastic,
of the season,
top 10.
Top 10. You take it and you move on. And Renus was happy. And it's funny. I love all the teams in the series. I mean, I'm really cheering for Connor and Yukos Hollinger and Stingray.
Love little Stingray.
I know his parents are there, and his girlfriend's parents are there, and
it's his wife now.
His wife's girlfriend.
Right, they got married.
Her Stingray's father-in-law used to be the fire chief up in Cicero, or maybe he still is. Just the nicest people.
They're
and then you
sweet.
see Larry Foyt, and Larry Foyt's just happy and doing great. But it's just, that's a neat thing. People don't realize the IndyCar Series really is like a circus, and it's the same people that travel from race to race. It was just neat to get the season back underway. So anyway,
I'm super excited.
Enough talking about the cruise, enough talking about the race season. Now we're going to talk about, one of us likes to cut off balls. So while I'm at the race, I get a phone call, and Suzanne's license plate says "Mom to all." We have an individual who has her horses in our front pasture, who's like a daughter to us, and she's welcome around here. She's just a special person. We've known her since she was in junior
14
high.
or something,
junior high or whatever, because of horses. Horses always bring interesting people into your life. We love the Karis. We're excited she's here.
I mean, she just walks in the back door just like your kids goes, "It's me."
Yeah. Sometimes she needs money just like our kids. Sometimes she needs food just like our kids. But anyway, what I was going to say, though, is while I'm gone, Karis basically says, "Hey, Suzanne."
Well, we knew we were going to get these. We had you didn't know.
You and Karis knew you were going to get these goats.
And I knew we were going to get these.
So
goats.
Here's the story: 2 goats. Somebody owns 2 goats. They're using them for rodeo goats, which means these goats have been hit with ropes every day of their life. So they're living in hell.
Yeah,
so
they're like unhappy. They're just worked to death.
Instead of grazing gracefully, they're thrown out in a pen and chased by a horse and some kid on a rope hitting them.
All the time.
And so the owners who own these rodeo goats, so they're not really tame, sweet, bottle-fed goats like you're used to.
No, they're real sweet. And that's the reason they were going to get rid of them, is because they were like too sweet to be rodeo goats.
Okay, so somebody felt bad hitting them with a rope. They decide they're going to send them off to be processed. Processed is the nice way to say
meat.
They're going to be meat goats, which either is for goat meat for people to eat, or sometimes it's because a Muslim, they have to get certain goat meat and the way it's processed.
But people eat around here. People do eat.
Yes. But anyway, they're going to be meat
I don't
goats.
Understand it. But
somehow in the process of this, Karis and Suzanne have decided, we don't want them to be killed. We'll just take them in our house.
I'm sorry. Nobody is going to be meat if I know about it.
Okay, so these 2 goats come to our house.
We finally, we've been planning on.
Let me set this real quick. Let me set this up. You've been planning. When you say we, this is not you and I planning.
No, this is me and Karis planning.
Right. You guys have been planning, and you are planning for doing it when a time when John's not around.
No.
So I'm at the race this weekend. We have qualifying on Saturday. We have practice on Friday. The race is on Sunday. I get a phone call.
I didn't call you. I just did.
During qualifying.
Oh, I thought.
Do you have Will Hull? Which Will Hull is our neighbor down the street.
He has cows.
Hold on. Will Hull is also a very nice guy who will do anything if I'm gone. So, if the house is on fire, the barn, something happened, my horse gets out, you can call Will. Will will figure stuff out. He's a nice guy. And I go to church with him at church number 1. But anyway, Will and Mandy are great. They're the ones that when they walk by our house, we feel like we're losing weight because they're exercising so
Yeah, they walk every night and we sit on the porch.
Smoke a cigar and drink a glass of wine. It's just as healthy. Between the 4 of us, we're doing really well. But anyway, so you said, can I have Will Hull's number? And I'm like, what's wrong? So I call, and here's my wife. Hey, what do you need Will for? Is everything okay? Yeah, I just need to get a bigger bander for the balls on this goat.
Said I need a calf bander. His balls are too big.
I'm on the grid with guests around me, and my wife, and I'm perplexed.
Was I on speaker?
No, but I'm perplexed as to what's going on here. You know those goats that we're bringing home? Okay, I think maybe I do. Well, their balls are really big. One of them, I can't get, literally, you said, I can't get the rubber band around the balls.
It was just like, you should be able to do, well, he's a pygmy goat.
For those
he's
of you that don't know goat language, okay, thankfully you didn't go to Colorado as a kid and play with a goat and have a dream of having goats all your life, because that's what happened to Suzanne. That's why we have goats here. But when you have a goat, there are a couple of ways to castrate them. One is to band them.
Well, there's more than, banding.
The other is to cut them.
Yeah. And then there's another way that we didn't have this, and we could have gone to it has a fancy name. I can't remember what it is, but it looks like a gigantic,
this is going to make me sick,
legit nutcracker.
Okay, stop.
And you just open it and close it and then twist it and it.
Okay, here's my point. One of us likes to cut off balls. Why are the two women?
I don't like it.
Okay,
I just don't like the smell.
No, from a male perspective, here are two women who have such a soft heart. We're going to save these two goats. These two goats are not going to...
Only one of them needed it.
These two goats aren't going to die. We're going to save them from getting hit by ropes, and we're going to give them a great home. Cut off their balls.
Just the one. It
smells
so bad.
But I get it. Here's a goat. It just arrived at paradise. And all of a sudden, who are these women trying to take away my male parts? Like, is this what's going to...
He's just a year old.
When I die and go to heaven, I hope that Jesus doesn't go, welcome home. Let's cut them off.
Lord knows you lived with me long enough.
Yeah, but is this in you that you just want... That's your solution to any male problem? Cut them off? I stink. Like you talk about goats.
It's a terrible smell. There's nothing that can...
We do have goat smell.
That if you have a buck, the smell is just
and here's
beyond.
The funny thing to me.
Like your whole property smells like it. And I'm not breeding anymore. So I just want him to...
Be a pet.
Be lovey.
Will Hull has this beautiful farmhouse that came out of like House Beautiful. The barn that matches, the tractor that's sterling, the pretty blonde wife, the perfect truck. Everything is great over there. He doesn't know how the hell to cut off.
I know. He told me, he texted me and he goes,
acts like a farmer, but he's not.
We get our cows already castrated. They come to us castrated.
Will Hull is not touching any bull's balls.
Okay, but let's back up a minute. So years and years ago, when we first started getting goats and stuff, I did a DIY banding. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm not great at it. And we had mini goats because they were surprised.
Because you didn't band
because
correctly.
I didn't get it good, or I just got one ball, didn't get both, or whatever. So Karis is a vet tech.
I
so
hope
she
that
has
somebody's
done
listening to this and thinking about this should be a YouTube series. Suzanne and her goatee balls.
A million times, but his were just too big. So now we have to have a calf bander. So let me just tell you what happened to me on Saturday. So Saturday was the day we're going to do this, okay? And I had lots of stuff to do outside. I was just, the weather was nice. So I grabbed a pair of jeans off of the chair in my room, and I was like, I haven't seen those in a while. That'll be good. They're a mess anyway. So I put them on, and I had to go into town to do some errands, run a few errands. And one of my things was that I had to return a package, and it said I could go to FedEx down in Indy, or you could return it to Kohl's. Well, I never go to Kohl's, but it was real close. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I go in there, package, and these pants, and looking bad because I'm going to work in the barn. And I go to the lady and she goes, oh no, it's not up here. You have to go all the way to the back of the store. So I go to the back of the store. It's Saturday. It's crowded. And I get back there, and the one little guy comes out, and he's super cute. He's like 20. He, real adorable. Probably never been to the zoo or never been out of Fishers.
But a very handsome guy.
Very handsome, cute little 20-year-old naive guy. Okay. I show him my thing, and it's a, QR code. You do it, boom, you're done. Turn around and walk out or walk away. And I hear him go, ma'am, And I turn around and I was like, yeah, did I need to sign something or whatever? And he said, no, I don't know if anyone has, and he's talking kind of quiet. I don't know if anyone has told you today, but you have a hole in your pants.
Oh, really?
I have a hole in my pants. And I looked and there was a mirror behind me and I was like, oh, I forgot. I know why these pants were sitting on my chairs. They got a big hole in the butt. So my whole big fat ass is just hanging out, because I don't mean like it's a little hole. I mean like it's a big hole.
So what did you say to him?
So I went, oh, thank you, but I'm just working in the barn today, just banding some goats and doing some things outside, so I didn't even pay attention. I'm sorry, but thank you for telling me. And I whip around and I walk out. And I get about to the same place where I was before, and he goes, whoa, 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 what is banding goats? And I turned around and I said, oh, honey, I don't think you want to know. And he goes, no, I really do. And I said, well, okay, it's where you put a rubber band around their balls and then they just fall off. And his eyes got huge. And he goes, why do you want to do that? And I said, well, I don't want to have goats anymore. And then he continues to ask
This
me
is a
all
natural
these
reaction.
questions.
And first off, if you're not a goat person, it doesn't happen instantaneously.
No, it's a few days.
A few days. It's like a week or more. Like it wraps around. It cuts all the
minute.
It cuts all the circulation off
so
of
it
the
just
balls.
falls off.
And
It doesn't really hurt.
It does. You're not the goat. Of course it hurts.
I mean, it hurts.
I'm sweating thinking about it. You know, I hate
first,
disgusting
but
things to
it's
begin
not.
with. At first, that goat is in pain the entire time. And then all of a sudden it's singing,
It's
singing
numb.
tenor. It's numb. Are you giving that goat anything for pain? Are you?
But
No.
we're not really castrating.
But castrating is done like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
You cut it, it's done.
Yeah.
You're literally, hi, goaty goat. And then you put this rubber band around its balls, and it walks around with a rubber band around its balls for weeks until finally it dries up and shrivels up and falls off.
That's
what you're
happens.
doing.
I know. Well, anyway.
And if you don't know this about me, I have a gag reflex issue to begin with.
Nothing bothers me. So
Nothing bothers Suzanne. Like
So-
we're about to go into the whole subject, because this is the whole point of this is not just about balls. I'm about to share the most disgusting things people have seen at work, because you like that kind of humor. And then we're going to talk about a psychology article here that says you can train yourself to find disgusting things less gross. So
I think if you're a mom or a teacher, and I was both, that
like projectile vomit, I'm out. Like
I have been projectile vomited on by children that were not my own. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's gross. If you dwell on it, then, it probably will make you sick.
As we transition from this goat story, I will say, one time I looked at social media and I see you having a goat in the house. I was on the road. I was on the road somewhere. There's like a little goat running around on the floor in here, and I said, "Why is there a goat in my house?" And Jay Daniel's comment still cracks me up to this day.
No, that was later.
No, but he said, "Dad, there's a lot of stuff that goes on around here when you're not here." Like, so banding goats and having fun with Karis and, saving all these things. But
He also said one time, what dad doesn't know doesn't hurt him.
Thanks. So I have a gag reflex. Like when I brush my teeth, if like it gets too foamy, I get sick. When we had babies, I tried to change diapers.
Okay, I came home from the hospital. Came home, night number 1, first child. Mm-hmm. I go to the bathroom. You take John Andrew, lay him down.
I love that child. I'm going to take care of that child.
And you're going to change his diaper for the first time. And the monitor is on. And all I hear is, it was a baby poop.
It was disgusting.
It
like
was a
yellow.
little baby
Nobody told
poop.
me it was yellow. Oh, dear God. I hope that got fixed.
I don't know. I'm not looking at his poop.
Okay, good. Well, no. And like we saw Micah, one of my best friends, Micah, down in Houston when we were there. We stopped with he and Stephanie on the way down, on the way back, and got to see their girls, and just, it was awesome. But he one time, like he loves to make me gag. Like
He does.
He's like a sixth grade kid. Like one time.
That's why we're such good friends.
Oh God! One time we were eating and I was having a hamburger and I looked down and like the lettuce had a worm on it.
Oh, it did not.
It did too, and I started to hurl.
That would kind of gross me out.
Oh no! And Micah like is always doing that. Like, is that a worm? And it's just like that. That brings back this memory. Like it's just immediately I start gagging. But I think the grossest thing. I've told you about balut before. That's the worst. That's the grossest
Oh,
thing.
yeah. That now see that.
Yeah, when I was in the Philippines working one summer, they have a delicacy there called balut, and the guys push the little.
Why
ice
is it
cream.
always the grossest food is a delicacy?
But they push the little carts in the throughout the.
Does it smell bad
throughout
too?
the neighborhoods, and they go balut, and you have to go out there, and everybody loves it. And what balut is, it's an egg that they let it stay with the chicken until like there's a little beak and some feathers on. I'm starting to hurl right now.
Oh, that's
anyway
it's
on
just
the
so
egg,
gross.
and then they take that. So it's not just like an egg yolk. It's actually a developed fetus. So it's got a little beak and some feathers on it.
Why?
And then they bury it in the ground for 30 days. Those 30 days ferment the egg sac and that little. So then
That's gross.
Then when it's your turn to eat it, and they say balut, like it's not like they're not saying balut like it's gross. It's like balut, like hey, it's good stuff. They trick you because then you crack it open, you eat it like a shot, and that's probably the grossest thing I've ever.
Oh, that is nasty.
So anyway, so I've got two things for us. The producer gave me. One is this was from BuzzFeed. Said we recently asked members of the BuzzFeed community to tell us the most disgusting thing they've ever seen in an office. So I work in an office with Tim.
Just the two of
just
you
the two of us.
in the basement of a church building that's turned office.
I love my office.
I love your office
We
too.
worked.
It's
So
very,
when
it's
Tim
very
first came to work
quaint.
with me, we worked in a nice co-working space, and then finally we got a private office, and we moved. Then we moved downtown, and with all the nice drinks and the snacks in the
Oh
afternoon.
yeah, they always had snacks for you in the afternoon.
And the pretty receptionist who was like so energetic. And I moved out of that office and had moved into a church basement. And
Awesome! It's so close. I always get to.
it's right by.
Have
It's
lunch
here in our
with
town. You
you.
can come by and have lunch. It's right by J. Daniel's work. So I'm a thoughtful husband by moving my office closer to where my kid works, so I can help out. But when you have ADD, not having a window means that I'm more productive than ever. Like I just get down there and I get in my mood and I just start working. So I love it. But if any of these things happen in my office, trust me, I will.
You'll bolt. You'll just bolt.
Can you think? I mean, you worked in school, so that was some pretty disgusting things.
Yeah, and because I wasn't grossed out by a lot of stuff.
You got to clean it all up.
Well, no, I was in the middle school, but I had friends that worked in the elementary school that were like in a different part of the building.
Yep.
And if kids had wiggly teeth or say they had an accident
that's
or
enough.
whatever, they would always bring them to me because it didn't gross me out. And I just pull the tooth. Or one time I set a kid's broken arm, fell, and I set the arm before the ambulance got there. I thought to do it with a clipboard and some masking tape. I set his arm like that. And then I don't know if you remember this, but before I was actually in a classroom, I was at KinderCare, and I had that one little girl that was just
I want to
learning
close
to walk.
my ears right now because I can't handle.
And she fell and she bit a hole through her tongue. And I saved her tongue basically because I knew what to do. I put it under the cold water before So,
All right, let's see if I can make it through this list without hurling. These things happen in the office. Gross things in the office. Disgusting things. The false teeth fiasco. Number one.
That's gross.
My boss had her false teeth fly out when she was speaking to me.
Nancy
She
Pelosi.
hunted under the disgusting cubicles for the teeth, popped them back in, and continued speaking.
I can see that happening. It's gross.
It makes
but
me
I can
shudder
see
to
it
think
happening.
what the moist plastic had picked up under the cube.
Okay, I can. I've seen children
Oh, God.
lose their retainer in the trash can at lunch or in their locker or down at, this is the worst, in the bottom of their backpack where all the,
And they put it in their mouth?
and then the younger ones, they'll just,
All right. Number two, the burpee boss.
okay.
My boss regularly farts and burps out loud in the office without hesitation and with commentary. That was a wet one, or that was a smelly one.
We would probably be pals.
Of course you would. Now it gets disgusting. The poop spoon. This is an actual thing.
Oh my God. I don't even know if I want to know what that is. That sounds
This lady wrote,
nasty.
I clean a professional office building at night. In the ladies' room, in one particular stall, there is someone who picks their nose and wipes it on the wall.
Ew! Now, see, bookers, I can't do bookers.
Every day. For 3 years. But the really gross, bizarre thing was much worse.
Okay, this is nasty.
Each stall in the ladies' room has those little containers for sanitary disposal with paper bags in them. Opened one up, and sitting right on top was a plastic spoon with poop on it. It was a poop spoon.
Maybe they couldn't get wiped or
Dear
something.
God.
Oh, that's really nasty.
Who's raising? I hope it's a plastic spoon because that'd be expensive. Okay. Who's using a spoon to clean their butt?
I don't know. Maybe the same person that's eating balut. I don't know.
You know, people are waxing back there now. Not waxing, but bleaching.
Yes, John. I know that that's happening.
All right, well, here we go. The milk licker. I walked into our communal kitchen at work and saw a woman licking the outside of a rim of a bottle of milk. Bit weird, but okay. Then I saw her putting it back in the fridge and someone
For
else's
other
name
people?
on it.
Oh, gross.
No, it had someone else's name on it.
That would send you to the hospital.
I would not work in that office ever again.
You would be done. You would give your resignation.
I have a
right
hard
then.
time with Tim just walking in and grabbing a can of Coke out of my fridge. All right. The unique coffee blend. Oh, gosh. Someone decided to clean the office Keurig because no one could remember when it had last been cleaned. That's why I don't do coffee in hotel rooms.
Oh, really?
They never clean those things. That's also why I never will wash my hands.
Well, now they have the little
I don't wash my hands.
espresso thing.
That's Nespresso, but still, somebody has to clean where the water is. And like, if you think about like on a plane, don't wash your hands on a plane because that water and that tank and all that kind of stuff, they don't never clean those things. Anyway,
that's gross.
someone decided to clean the office Keurig because no one could remember when it had last been cleaned. When they took it apart, they found a dead cockroach between the area for the K-cup and the spot where the brewed coffee came out.
That's gross.
La cucaracha blend is what they call it.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
I got a new coffee pot.
You did? Mm-hmm. I like how, because we always argue about too much stuff on the countertops, the first thing you told me about your new coffee pot was that it was thin.
It's very small. It's very, very small. It's much smaller than the Keurig, and it's very old school. It's got one button on it.
Okay, here's another thing that would gross me out. The cold urine. A coworker kept her urine in the freezer inside a lunch bag in case of random drug tests. She confided in me that she did that. I didn't believe her, and she showed me. I've never put anything in that freezer since.
Oh my gosh.
So she freezes good urine in case of a random drug test.
You gotta say, that's kind of brilliant though. If you're, if you're needing to do that kind of thing.
I guess. This is why I work in my own office.
That's pretty funny.
The man with the chicken fingers had a coworker at an old job that would bring in a rotisserie chicken on Monday and then eat from it all week, pulling its increasingly picked over carcass back out of the fridge every night. He would lick his fingers and get chicken grease all over the keyboard he shared with another person who came in for the next shift. He would often toss chicken bones over other coworkers, aiming for the communal trash can. Wow, I've worked with that guy. I've worked with that guy. I remember back in Nashville. Remember that first music job I had? We had the warehouse on the other side of my office.
Yeah.
And, there's one dude that had to wear sweatpants every day, and I was like, "Why do you wear jeans or like everybody else in the warehouse?" He goes, "Well, I got a problem on my balls."
He needs to come over here. I'd get him settled.
Band him up.
Band him up.
Oh, gosh. The sneeze spray. One of my bosses never covers his mouth when he sneezes. That's great. He makes it a point to sneeze so loudly that the whole office can hear his wet sneezes, too. I love that you love this stuff.
I love it because I just know what it does to you. That's why it's so
We work in a beautiful office with floor-to-ceiling windows that bathe the place in light. He sneezed one afternoon. I saw the backlit. He sneezed one afternoon. I saw the backlit spray project itself 2 meters across the room and just kind of waved towards a colleague who sat up and looked around, all puzzled because he'd suddenly felt something warm and wet. I've been sneezed on before, too. Didn't hear it because of the noise-blocking earphones, but I smelled it because I was suddenly engulfed in a cloud of what smelled like spit. So.
Oh, that's disgusting. People are gross. I mean, I'm not grossed out by normal stuff, but this is ridiculous. This is beyond.
The phantom pooper. In my previous firm, we had what was known as the phantom pooper. Basically, there were multiple incidents where someone has stopped and done a poo in the middle of the floor just outside a reception. After one particularly bad incident, it was even smeared into the walls. Because of the layout of the office, no one saw when it happened, so they were never caught. No one knows if it was a disgruntled client or someone who worked
That's
there.
behavioral.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's behavioral.
The
That's
food
gross.
detective, this girl at my job digs in a trash can, sees if she finds something edible, she eats it. Ugh.
Well, did you remember at John Andrew's old shop that they would come in because they were required to come in and take everything out of the snack machines or, the vending machines and then just put it in the trash and it would be totally fine. So all those poor mechanics in the back, they knew what day the guy was coming to put the new stuff in the vending machine. They would just wait for the guy. The guy would bring the stuff back to the dumpster. They called them dumpster snacks.
Oh, God. All right, last gross one. We had a female employee who routinely hovered over the toilet instead of sitting on it.
A lot
or
of women
using
do
the provided
that.
tissue seat covers. Not content to just hover pee, she upped her game one day to hover duking.
Oh, ew.
I know this because there would be a full human turd on the seat where there would be no full human turds before.
So horrible.
It took several reports over a series of days for them to finally gather the nerve to sit her down and say, please stop pooping on the toilet seats, or at least clean it up. You would think this would improve the situation, but it did not. It made it worse. She started mash wiping the turds into the toilet seat instead of just rolling them into the bowl. It ended up leaving a sort of thin, frosty coat.
Okay, we get the gist.
Okay.
That's
But
good.
it got on her hands.
Okay.
She did
please.
not appear to notice, so it got on the doors and sinks and out into the office area. Every day I begged them to get her to stop.
I think that's
cleaning
made
it
up.
They confessed they thought it must be some sort of medical issue, and they didn't want to embarrass her further. This was a major metropolitan newspaper, and it took them an entire summer to, pardon me, get their shit together. Hey, I have told you about the Brazilian driver. So in Brazil, we were in Brazil. You went to a bathroom like this where they say, do not put your toilet paper in the toilet. You're
They
supposed
did
to put it
that
in the
when we
trash
were
can.
in Mexico just then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
The
their
other
septic
day at the
system couldn't
cruise,
process the paper, just the waste. And went into Chip Ganassi's transporter, and you could smell shit. And it's because the guy was wiping himself and putting it in the little trash can right next to the toilet in Ganassi's nice trailer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they finally had to tell him, hey, you can flush that here. All right, I'm not doing the rest of these, but I will tell you. So
I
we'll
don't
close
think
with
we
this.
need any more.
This article is from Psych Magazine.
If we have any listeners left.
I don't think anybody else is listening to this, but this is important to me because you've given me a hard time all 35 years of our marriage of the fact that I do have a
Gag
somewhat
reflex.
sensitive stomach. And think about it. When we were kids, I would gag just the smell of that stuff they put on the vomit.
That made me gag. It still does to this day. It made me gag more than the actual vomit.
And for those of you that are young, I know our targeted audience is a 55-year-old female, so they would understand the smell of the powder stuff they would put on. So what would happen is a kid would throw up at school, the janitor would show up and take this Ajax kind of powder stuff.
It was
and they would
nasty.
throw it out on the vomit,
And it
would dry it
absorbed
up,
it.
and then
Yeah.
they would clean it up. But there was a smell about some things you remember about school. One was the smell of the mimeographed paper that when it came off the mimeograph,
I
you'd
loved
smell it,
that
and we would
smell.
love it. And then you would have the vomit smell, and the vomit smell would make other kids in the class go sick.
That Vince Vaughn scene in Four Christmases.
It's the worst.
I'm gonna do it.
It's the worst. And here's the thing. You young people don't understand this because now parents are told to keep their kids at home when they're sick. Our parents sent us to school when you're sick. They didn't want to clean up the mess. They sent you to the
they had to work
every single week there was somebody hurling at school.
all the time.
There was somebody-
Or we didn't know about allergies like that. I mean, we didn't know about lactose intolerance. And everybody got milk at school. And kids would throw up, or they would eat and then go to the playground.
And one throw up would cause another throw up.
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
smell.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I've been branded. So it says you can train yourself to find disgusting things less gross. And it says disgust protects you, but it can also keep you at arm's length from others. You can learn to lessen disgust false alarms, which this is interesting to me. It said, imagine it's a hot and humid day. You're cleaning up after dinner and you see that the bin is full. You pull out the bag, noticing a bad smell, and take it outside at arm's length. That sounds pretty common around here, right? Mm-hmm. It says, as you flip open the lid of the outside bin, you're hit with an overwhelming stench. You throw the bag in as quickly as possible, close the lid, and breathe a sigh of relief only after going inside and thoroughly cleansing your hands. That happens, right? You open the lid and it's like, oh dear God, something died. And
Yeah, I had a duck die last week, and it's in the trash.
oh, please tell me you Don't tell me that.
It's in trash bag.
If you
Trash
felt a bit
cans tomorrow.
uncomfortable imagining that, you were likely experiencing the emotion of disgust. So they call that the emotion of disgust when you feel that way. A feeling of revulsion towards something unpleasant. Most people have felt disgust at some point in their lives when faced with rotting food or a bloody injury or someone with poor personal hygiene, for example. BO. BO can make me hurl too. If I smell some dude.
G-O-B-O, isn't that what we used to call it?
But what's the GO stand for? What was it? Oh, yeah. So it's kind of European BO sometimes. But anyway, my wife is cracking herself up over here.
That story.
But it says,
Okay.
but some are more prone to this emotion than others. So that would be me. Some might not have been bothered at all while reading the opening story. Some might have felt slightly unsettled, while others might have felt so disgusted that they were reluctant to keep reading. So, like, I can smell that smell in the trash can of what dead duck smells like.
Yeah, well.
If you fall into the final category, you might label yourself a squeamish person. Would you describe me as squeamish?
A big baby?
Squeamish is not a big baby. A lay term for what psychologists call being disgust-prone. So I'm disgust-prone. At the right level, disgust is useful. In fact, most psychologists define disgust based on its function, which is to protect the person from contact with unpleasant or dangerous objects.
Well, it's not like I like it.
When we feel disgust, it motivates us to avoid the unpleasant thing, either by moving away from it or not entering situations where it might be. And then you remember the film Inside Out, the Disney Pixar film?
Yeah, I know what it is, but it's been a lot of
Inside
years.
Out, in which various emotions are shown in characters inside the brain of a young girl, Riley. When Riley's dad tries feeding her broccoli, the character disgust says to the other emotions, "Okay, caution, there's a dangerous smell, people." She flicks a lever, which makes Riley flip the bowl of broccoli over her dad, and disgust says, "Well, I just saved our lives. You're welcome." Mm-hmm. So it says the trouble is that disgust can go into overdrive and lead to negative consequences.
But see, I think gross stuff depends on the situation too. I mean, like I can't give blood and do all that kind of stuff.
But I don't know how these doctors
Like I can't do normal things that other people do. Like I'll pass out.
one of my best friends is a nurse practitioner, and she can talk about medical stuff. And
Yeah, Sherry does all the time. Nothing grosses her out.
And I'm just like wanting to hurl. I mean, like I think I told you one time I was having dinner with Gail, and she was talking.
Oh,
about,
yeah.
She was talking about something gross, and I know what it was. She was talking about how
Prostate or something,
She's
right?
not with prostate, but then she was talking about a man my age, and she said she was just going.
She was wanting you to go to the doctor and get your checkup or whatever.
She said for her birthday that year, because Gail's birthday is a day after mine, and we were having a birthday dinner a couple of years ago, and Gail.
I remember she told me that.
And Gail
she wants
said,
you to...
"Do you really want to make me happy on my birthday?" I said, "Sure, Gail. What do you want?" She goes, "I want you to get a colonoscopy." Like that's what she wanted. And then she started describing what polyps I would see and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, "Yeah, as you get older, you're going to lose some muscle tone. Your penis is going to get smaller. You're going to have to check on these polyps." I'm like, "Time out. Back up. What?" And then she goes into a medical version of, "Oh yeah, elasticity of a man's penis." And it's like, I don't want to talk about this. Stop. Like right now, just stop. But nurses and doctors can talk about the grossest stuff. You like those friends, don't you?
Well, I am not a gross person. I mean, I don't thrive on it or anything. I'm just saying that when you're a mom or you live out here and do the things you do, sometimes you just kind of have to get over it. I'm not saying that I have ever been in a classroom and a kid threw up and I didn't feel like I was going to throw up, but you just have to push through because that's what you have to do,
Well, I'm trying to see the correlation between somebody like me who does have a gag reflex, but I'm just a germaphobe too.
Yeah, you are that.
But
and here, I'm not the biggest germaphobe, but I'm also never sick.
Yeah.
I mean, very rarely sick.
But it talks. this thing too goes into an article about the question is whether anything can be done to relieve intense feelings of disgust, whether or not you have OCD. So they are also saying that sometimes people like this might have
I see
OCD.
that. See, J. Daniel, that's your mom.
Yeah, they can have OCD and deal with it. But it says you can go through clinical psychologists studying contamination-related OCD. When it comes to disgust, people tend to have two types of thoughts. The first is what might happen as a result of the disgusting thing and the likelihood of this thing actually happening. They say, I'm definitely going to catch an infection, or I'm certainly going to be sick. This is known as the primary appraisal. The secondary appraisal is about whether they can cope with feeling disgusting, for instance. This feeling is going to overwhelm me, or this feeling will never go away. Along with my colleagues, I wanted to explore which kind of these thoughts might underlie extreme avoidance of disgusting situations, and more importantly, whether it was possible to change these thoughts. So this research talks about you can change thoughts, but I'm sitting there going, like, when I gag at the smell of a diaper, I do think, oh, dear God, this is going to get my fingers. It's going to get under my nails.
See, I just don't think, I think maybe all those years of pushing down my feelings and not getting emotional, I just kind of go, just do it. Yeah, and just push it down. And if I think about it, then I'm grossed out, or yes, I feel like I'm going to throw up or I'm going to pass out. But if I just do it with determination and you just do it, then I'm not as grossed out.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. We've been talking for an hour, which I love talking to you for an hour. But this last paragraph here says, if you're someone who is particularly squeamish or disgust prone, you're not slave to this emotion. The next time you encounter something that disgusts you, remind yourself that your feared outcome likely won't happen, that disgust is a normal emotion that eventually passes, and that you have the ability to cope. Next time you take the bins out, you might find the task a little less unpleasant. So, because you can train yourself. You're not going to see me working at a septic company.
No, I'm telling you what, that makes me gag.
Oh, it does?
Oh, yeah. When they have to come out and pump.
Yeah.
I smell everything. Mm-hmm. My smeller is stronger than everybody else's, I think. And smells do all kinds of things to me. They either make me happy or they make me gag or sick. Smell is the thing.
We're wrapping up the show. If we had an audience, I'd probably do a little plug. Tomorrow night, Suzanne and I have been invited to present to a group of married couples.
If we had an audience.
If we have an audience. We have one. But Sherry's not Catholic, but she can still come. But we've been invited to go to a marriage on tap event. It's at a local brewery here. We're very excited about joining a lot of other couples and doing a presentation that they've given us the topic of having fun in our marriage. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation.
We have fun.
We do have fun. And I don't think they're going to have as much fun as we're going to have, but I'm looking forward to being with all those people. It's kind of like a paid gig, don't you think? Oh my gosh, speaking of this.
It's not a paid gig.
We're getting a beer out of the deal. But
and a sandwich.
So, I'm doing the Exodus 90, which means I'm not supposed to have alcohol during this period of time.
Always doing something.
There's a women's version we've talked about too called Magnify 90.
And you're reading that because you've already read the men's one 3 times, and so God forbid
4 times. But anyway, the men of Exodus 90 and the women of Magnify 90 have been going through life without alcohol and life without, kind of like doing these sacrifices and watching what we're eating. Well, Father Clayton today sent an email out telling everybody he's giving a special Mardi Gras dispensation.
Oh.
For us to eat what we want. And
tomorrow, because it's Fat Tuesday?
Yeah, so these Catholics are going to be having a good time. And actually, I emailed him and said, can you please give us a dispensation? Because our jokes won't be nearly as funny if they're sober. But no, I'm really sad, and I hate to close on a downer, but
what?
Our local comedy club, Crackers, here in town.
I am so distraught about this.
So when Suzanne and I went and challenged each other and did the stand-up night, and you were the headliner that night at that open mic night, there has been a comedy club in town for over 25 years.
Same lady has run it. Everybody's been there. Nate Bargatze has been there. Everybody.
Over the years. When they were starting out, they all went there. But she's closing down. We do have another comedy club here in town that's more
Helium.
But it's a corporate deal where they, like Helium has locations in 25 locations.
Right.
And those comedians who make it that level go from like Atlanta to Akron to Cleveland to Indy to
like
Chicago.
Brad Garrett comes.
They're bigger people.
Those are bigger.
But Crackers was the one that hosted the open mic night. Crackers is the one that that a lot of people could just go and start and stand up and she brought
kind
in,
of hone their craft
yeah,
and
she
learn how
brought
to
in
do
some
it.
like comedians on the way up, and I was really sad to see it's closing. When we went down there and Suzanne performed, she was like, "You guys need to come do this all the time." And she really thought Suzanne could be good if she wanted to work at this. And it's just, she was a very encouraging person to people. Now, some comedians, we saw her bad side too. And there's like somebody who came in.
This one
Guy signed in on the open mic night with
somebody
with a
else,
fake name because he had already been kicked out of that place.
Yes.
And she was back in the back, like back in her office.
Man, she had him hauled
and he
out of
he
there.
got up on stage and said, "Hey, I'm Jim Wilson." And as soon as she heard his voice and it wasn't his name, she came barreling out of there.
She like stopped the show and got him out.
Here again. Yeah. So anyway, so we're losing kind of a special place here.
And it's for a weird reason too, isn't it?
Well,
like
no,
insurance or something.
She has to have a $500,000 liability insurance for drug liability. The city of Indianapolis has a deal now that restaurants are liable. So if they overserve somebody and they have an accident on the way home, they're liable. So they're required to have a $500,000.
I didn't really
insurance.
understand what. I just knew it was insurance.
It's a Marion County deal.
Huh.
It's hard for them to run.
I don't really see how that is a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, but
I don't think you should overserve.
For a lady
in
who
her
has
situation,
an upstairs comedy club above an Indian restaurant in downtown Indianapolis, it's hard. It's hard for her to, and it's hard. Anybody who works in restaurants. I mean, our friend Dan. He's temporarily closed his pizza place up in Muncie because of staffing issues. He just can't get the right people to run the place, and so he's retooling. So anyway, go support your local restaurants. Join us next time on the Marry Your Best Friend podcast. You ready for this, Suzanne?
Are we going to talk about what we're going to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know.
On the next
Remember, I just show up.
You do. But on the next Marry Your Best Friend podcast, one of us is getting a tattoo.
Oh, I wish it would be me.
You think so?
You won't let me.
Do I have control of your body? I try to control your body, but do I have control?
I'm not into all the unhappiness that would ensue. So,
Well, join us next time. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. We love you all. One of us is getting a tattoo.